Hello, welcome. I am Anurag Maharana and I will be talking about machine learning using Python course which I took from Skyfi Labs. So, first we need to install Anaconda and you have to download it from anaconda.com, the individual version, and it should be this 64-bit Python 3.7 version. After installing, you will get the interface like this. We'll be using this Jupyter notebook. So let's get started. So in this course, we'll develop a project to predict the price of a new house. We'll be using machine learning techniques based on an existing house price dataset. Um, Machine learning is the ability of computers to learn without being programmed. Uh, Basically, there are three types of machine learning. One is supervised learning, second one is reinforced learning, and third one is unsupervised learning. So, in supervised learning, the format of the data is inputs and output pairs. We take a testing data set and training data set. First, we train the program using the training data set, then we use the testing data set to test the program's ability. It is a task driven type of learning, and in unsupervised learning, the format of data is input only, and it is data driven learning. So, third one is reinforcement learning. The format of data are input and some reinforcement, and it is reward and punishment driven type of learning. So first we will import the required libraries. The first one is NumPy. We will import NumPy as NP. Then we will import pandas as PD. Then we will import matplotlib, which will help us to plot various kinds of figures to help understand the problem. Then matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. Then from matplotlib.animation we'll import function animation. It will use to animate certain graphs. Then here are some sklearn libraries which will be required for our program. The step one is data preprocessing, and we'll load the Boston dataset. To execute it, you should press Ctrl Enter, and we'll load the dataset, Boston dataset. This is the Boston dataset. Then we'll put the data into pandas data frame. This is the syntax. We'll use features variable to put this data frame. Now let's execute it. So this is what it looks like. This is the dataset. It consists of 506 rows and 13 columns. So let's call the column age using the program, using this syntax. So this is the age column. It has 506 rows. Its data type is float. Then let's take another object target. We'll load the target column into it. Now let's see the maximum value of the target. So it is 50, the maximum value in the column target, and the minimum value is 5. Now we'll concatenate the data frame. We'll use the target column and concatenate the original one. We'll use x is equal to 1 to paste it in the target column and put it in an object called df. Then let's use the describe function and round it to the decimal value 2. So what it does, it by using the describe function we get a clear view of the values stored in the columns. For example, we can see the range of the target values between 5 and 50. The mean of the target is 22.3 and the standard deviation is 9.2, which means that almost 70% of the values lie between 13 to 31. You can also observe all the variables have 506 values. Now we have successfully completed the visualization of the Boston House dataset. Then let's have correlation between the target and attributes. First, we will calculate the correlation of using the Pearson method, and then we will take absolute values of the correlation and make a list of pairs. We will then sort the list of pairs in a reverse order with the correlation value as the key for sorting. And then we will use the zip function to unzip the pairs to lists, and we'll plot the graphs. So let's execute it. So here is the correlation with the target variable. So you can see here so here we'll take lstat as lstat has the highest absolute correlation values. Second one is the rm. Then next we'll use lstat to normalize the data. So we'll take lstat values and normalize with the target values. So we'll take two variables x and y. Let's execute it. Then before normalization, let's see the y value. So it is not normalized. This is the data. Now we will normalize it using min max scalar function. And after normalization, you can see that all the values are normalized, and all are in the range 0 to 1. The next step is to define the error, and we'll use loss functions. So there are three types of loss functions. One is mean square error, another one is mean absolute error, and third one is cross entropy error. We'll use here mean square error. So first we'll generate n evenly values from 0 radians to pi radians using linspace. Then we'll plot the values in the form of sine wave, and then we'll add some noise to it. So this is what the noisy wave looks like. Then we will calculate the error value. So this is the error value. Then we will calculate error value using the functions from the sklearn library, which will calculate directly the error without using the formula. So you can see both the error values are nearly same. Then we will define a function, error function, which we'll use in our later programs. So the next step is to split the data. So splitting the data helps us in training the data, validating the data, and testing the data. So we'll use 20% of the data randomly sampled as testing data, and other data will be used for training. So next we will move to linear regression. So linear regression has its origins from statistics. We are using this supervised learning method. We will use linear regression for these tasks, as it is the outputs are continuous. For example, predicting stock prices or predicting the prices of a house. It is not linear regression. You can't use this for classification tasks. Uh, it is not suitable when the target variable is discrete. It is only suitable when it is continuous. So first we will assume an initial slope and intercept, then we will calculate error using least squares, then apply optimization techniques and obtain the best possible line that fits the data. And we will use gradient descent concept here. So we will use an update function and take its parameters m, x, c, t and learning rate. Now let's execute it. Then we will define the gradient descent function. Here it will take the parameters initial value of m, initial value of c, x, t, learning rate and some iterations and error threshold. So let's take some values to these parameters and use the function to get the required values. We will use this time parameter to record the time. It took 199 milliseconds. Now as the number of line increases, they are less noticeable. In order to reduce processing time for the animation, it is advised to choose smaller value. So let's animate the values. So all the values are stored in MC values anim. Then we will plot that figure and animate it using the function animation and FFmpeg encoder using the HTML5. So it will take some time to execute. So when we execute this cell, we are seeing an animation of the linear regression line shifting starting from the initial position to the final position. It is becoming more accurate with each iteration, and you can see also the final iterations are not changing the regression line much as the initial few iterations have. Now let's plot the regression line upon the training data set. So here you can observe that the training data does not lie on a straight line, it has a slight curve to it. And the line that the model has predicted is a good approximation to the target values. Now let's plot the error values. Here you can see the error value is gradually decreasing with the uh, iterations increasing. If you increase the number of iterations, the error value decreases. Now comes the final part, the predictions. We'll use the trained model to predict the testing set. Now let's compute the mean square error. We'll use the variable predicted to calculate the predictions. Now the mean square error, this is the mean square error. You can see it is quite low. Now let's calculate the predicted values. We'll put the predicted values into a signal data frame, so we can see that predicted values along the testing set. We can observe that the predicted values are quite close to the target values. Now let's plot the predicted values against the target values using the scatter plot. Now you can observe that the line is oriented in approximately the same direction as the testing data. Now we need the predictions in terms of the prices of the original representation of the dataset. So we need to reshape it, and so we will use the reshape function to reshape it and then inverse transform it. This is the last step. Now we'll execute the program. Now let's see. So these are the target values and these are the predicted values. So this completes the Boston House dataset prediction. Thank you.